Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. We'll start by giving tzedakah, because Gedel tzedakah shmekareves zageula. Here's tzedakah, and this whole series is in honor of the Yidden Eretz Yisroel, the safety and the security of the Yidden Eretz Yisroel, and specifically the soldiers and the unfortunate captives. And today we're going to focus on, besides all of them, Yosef Yitzchak ben Simcha and Inbar bas Yafat. She should be healthy and safe and only good. Okay, so we started Maimon Yud Beis. And basically, the discussion is, the famous story in the Gemara in Brachos that Rabbi Yechon ben Zakkai, before he passed away, his students were standing around him, and he told them, they're like, what's your parting words to us? And he said, you should have the fear of Hashem like you have the fear of Bas of Adam, a person of flesh and blood. And they said, that's it? So he said, yeah. He goes, because when you do something wrong, you look around, you make sure no one's watching you. Hashem's watching you always. So why do we do that? We don't recognize that Hashem's watching us. And this is what we're saying here. And so this is one of this whole discussion that we fool ourselves. This is a bitui hayetzer, a foolishness, or the Yetzer Hara, that he convinces us that Hashem's not watching really. And yeah, we have the lack of connection. But he said ultimately Hashem is going to reveal our true identities. We can't hide it. And I gave that example of when someone gets drunk. But he continues today, and he shows that's like really there's little things that give yourself away. It's like, it's like when a person lies. When people lie, I remember I had a friend that used to always, like, his story was always a little bit, how would you say, like a little embellished, and not a little bit. So one time, like it was just impossible to happen. So one time he was saying this story, and so I said to him, 1 second, if I understand you correctly, this is what you're saying. He said, you're saying that this happened, and this happened, and it all sounded so crazy. And he sort of realized that, like, we caught him on this crazy lie. So he got stuck. He said, yeah. Yeah. And so this is what we're showing here, that we have to recognize, basically what he's trying to show us, the Rashab, is that we got to try to be honest with ourselves and not like live a two-faced life. And like I said before, it doesn't mean that I have to be the person that I'm hiding from people. And when I'm like by myself doing these things that not necessarily I should do, that's who I am. And I should just bring that person out. It's like the story with the chassid with the galoshes. That, or the chassid that he would go to the fair, he would dress up like a fancy guy, and then came to Lubavitch, he dressed up like a chassid. So 1 year of living this double life, like this is exactly what we're talking about, he said to himself, you know what? I need to be honest with the Rebbe. So he came to Lubavitch wearing his clothes from the fair, the fancy clothes. So when he came to the Rebbe saw him, never said, you're full. He goes, you think I didn't know you dress up over there? He goes, I thought you were fooling them and you were being honest over here. But now you're showing me that really over here you're fooling us, and now you're being honest. And this is sort of, I think this very much encapsulates this message that we're all faking it in a certain sense for certain things. But who are we? But we got to remind ourselves, who are we really? That person in the public that when you daven and you daven ba'avoda, whatever it is you do, whatever it is, I'm not going to use any specific example. Whatever it is that we do in public, that when we're by ourselves we don't do it as well. That doesn't mean that we're being fakers. It means in public this is who we really are, and we have to bring that home with us. And I think it could be the Rebbe Shab's example is a little more extreme, like a little more like a person that's really trying to be two-faced, not trying to be two-faced, but really is. Whereas us, I think it's more just like it happens, unfortunately, automatically. And that's essentially what we're saying. And ultimately, like he says, it's going to be found out. And so too, hu b'inyan hariyah. L'fam hine ba'avat hashel. Histaklus shemabit l'makom she'ein tzarich. Labit hine b'zeh adam megales kol emek harashabay. That he says, like a simple example, a person looks to the side, in some places they should be looking, and that shows where they're holding. You know? It's like, I know one time I was in a shul in California, it was a Lubavitcher shul, and there was a guy davening Shemona Esrei, like, Klatz Masa. He was going at it, he was moving and going wild, and I was like, wow. Like, man, I wish I would daven like that. And I was like, man, the guy's so into it. And then in the middle, literally in the middle of Shemona Esrei, he like, I don't know what happened, but he like stopped and turned around, he looked at something, and went back to going into his new world. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I thought he was all into davening. Nothing against the guy. I'm not judging him. I'm sure he's davening very good. But with that one look, he showed me that he's not in a different world. I don't know where he is, but it's not in the davening world. If it's in the davening world, it's to be davening. He wouldn't be in the middle of Shemona Esrei turning around. I already finished Shemona Esrei. But I'm saying when you daven Shemona Esrei, normally you just look inside the siddur. Whether you're davening so much kavanah or so little kavanah, you normally just look in the siddur till the end. So he would look like he has a lot of kavanah. But in the middle of all that, he turned around. I don't know what was going on. But what that little turn that he did showed where he's holding. And so with everything we do, what he's trying to show is that we give ourselves away with the little things that we do. So therefore, it's not worth lying. It's worth being honest. Yeah. V'gam im mibnei adam mustar v'ne'ela ma'asav harayim. And even if you manage to hide people, you have to recognize in front of Hashem, everything is revealed. Like it says in Yirmiyah, if a person hides himself in hidden places, and I'm not going to see Hashem, not going to see him, we can't hide from Hashem. Like it says, everything is revealed in front of you and known in front of you. Nothing is hidden from you, nothing, covered from you, from your eyes. Hashem sees everything. Hashem makes sure it gets revealed to everyone. Yeah, so we have to remind ourselves that Hashem this is sort of the point of Yochanan ben Zakkai. That we have to remind ourselves of this. Hashem is everywhere. As like a rabbi say, the Mishnah, like it says in Pirkei Avos, it says, "Kol hamachal Hashem Shemayim b'seiser nifar mimenu b'galui." Whoever profanes Hashem's name in b'seiser, hidden, nifar mimenu, it becomes revealed. Now, the question is, what does it mean to profane Hashem's name, to desecrate Hashem's name privately? The whole avera of desecrating Hashem's name is only in public. It has to be public, otherwise you're not desecrating Hashem's name. You just between you and Hashem, but it's not public. The whole mitzvah and the whole avera of it is connected with the public, doing it publicly. So what does it mean? In Pirkei Avos it says hidden. So Rashi explains, Hamachalel Hashem Shemayim b'seiser she'over avera b'seiser. He does an avera hiddenly. That's what it means. It means that is Machal Hashem Shemayim, he profanes Hashem's name by doing an avera. Not that he publicly desecrates or hiddenly desecrates. He hiddenly desecrates by doing an avera. Because Rashi is saying it's impossible to say that it's literal Chil Hashem. Because Chil Hashem hu b'farhesya dafka. It has to be public. It's impossible to mechalal, to profane, to desecrate Hashem's name privately. The kavanah is he does an avera in a hidden. He does an avera that no one's going to see. Of course, Hashem sees, but he does it in that way. He doesn't want other people to see. So therefore it gets revealed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu megale lachol lakol cherpasai. Hashem reveals his issue to everyone. Like it says in Mishlei, techase sinai, you'll cover over the hatred, b'masayin, with deceit. So tigale ra'asai b'kahal, and it will reveal his bad publicly. So a person does something wrong privately, and it says in Mishnah that Hashem will make sure to get it revealed. And he explains, shehu shoyas cheshech es hadavar hasanui lagosh baruch hu. So lagosh baruch hu megale rasa bekol sheyakiru boy shehu rasha. Page Rashi explained, meaning that a person is going to do something hidden, and Hashem is going to make sure it be revealed. It's like the stories that have happened, unfortunately, and I'm sure there's more of them. And again, ultimately, we don't know which one is which and how it all works. But there are cases of people being revealed. There's a story in California, a guy was selling kosher meat. He got publicly brought up, and that was very bad for that person, for sure. And that also happened in Muncie, happened years ago. And different, they're not just the story of me, there's stories all the time, and people, all these things happening. And the whole reason why this happens is because Shem Shemayim shouldn't be profaned. Meaning people shouldn't say, Shelo Yomru Ra'isa Pleini Shehu Chacham V'Eise Meisav Tevim Ufagu Boy Tzares Kol Kach Ad Kan L'Sheni. They shouldn't say, look at that nice guy and look at all these bad things happening to him. So it's going to be, meaning if someone is not behaving correctly, but they're putting on a show as they behave correctly, and they suffer, people are going to be like, hey, why does the person suffer? So Hashem make sure people understand what's actually going on. That person's not such an ayayay as you thought he was. And also you could, again, this is not an opportunity to suddenly analyze all people that you've seen and ask and try to figure out what's going on behind closed doors. It's all just for us and for ourselves, and a reminder to ourselves that we should try to put together how we are publicly and how we are privately, and make sure that all the positives of either one are being brought out and all the negatives are being put down. Recognizing that the reason why we get ourselves away with it is because the Yetzer Hara convinces us that no one sees. We have to remind ourselves that Hashem does see, and it's important to do the right thing for Hashem. And this, that he fools us to thinking that no one's going to see us. It's a shtus the Yetzer Hara. It's foolishness. It's that's the funny thing about the shtus. It's like it doesn't make any sense, but we still manage to do it. But it doesn't make any sense. No one's going to see me. I don't believe in Hashem. But unfortunately, this is how it is. But we see clearly the people that are more refined people, edel mention, like he said, the reason why he says it in Yiddish is to really hammer it home, like in English, like make sure you understand this well, in the Nefesh Bahamas terms. An edel person, and they have intellect. They're not able. They're not going to be sucked into this type of shtus. Like a coarse person, grub mention, like a person that's coarse, that's not refined. Or bal midas, sounds an emotional person. Shame bal midas, shame habal midas, because people that are very emotional. Hine bisragshusam v'geidel hispailusam, because they get all emotional, excited. Alulim lekabel and yarnei shtus ma'ataya shematim es asmam. It can cause that wildness and that like emotion can pull them into direction. I need to have it. You can't hold yourself back. They naren zich alein. They fool themselves. They lose themselves alone. The Yetzer Hara, the Yesai, Bahami, or Bal Midas, meaning that the Yetzer Hara is animalistic and it's very emotional. Hine mefesa shaladam, because the foolishness of that person become yonni mechwan l'tzlan hamis naheg alpi hiras Yetzer Hara, that he acts according to, that we act according to the what the Yetzer Hara tells us. Mekabel shtusay. And we fool ourselves, we're so given over the Yetzer Hara, and we fool ourselves and no one notices what's going on. But really it is all noticeable. And I think, I feel like this sort of issue has changed over the last few years. maybe we have less people that are like really upstanding, upright, like through and through. But I know, like a simple example of this. I remember. We're gonna finish up. So Kitzur, and I'll give a quick story. Kitzur, Ha'adam b'tiv oy yesh loy meira shazulas enu lo yeda inyanav. The person has this foolishness thinking that no one's going to know what's going on. Or ma gam yanav haraim, even the bad things. Meir shamayim kemeir bas adam. So we should have the fear of heaven like we have a fear of flesh and blood. Ha'adam b'diburoi b'tanam usav. Person when they speech or any movement, megal oimek arashba can reveal a lot, and that's why. And that's why people are sometimes, worried about drinking. You see people when they get drunk, how they act, and you realize what's going on inside. But Hashem makes sure to reveal publicly their issues. Yitzhara receives this shtus and then he lets him run with it. The simple story. I remember once when before I went to yeshiva, whatever, I went to the second yeshiva. I was working in a restaurant, and it happened to be that people would, like, I was in this position, like bagasha, a place that everyone would speak to me somehow. The chefs would speak to me, the waiters speak to me, and so one time I came home, I told my father, and I'm like, it's so funny that everyone speaks to me. I'm like the guy that everyone speaks to. And this guy complains about this guy, this guy complains about this guy, and so I get all the juicy gossip. So my father told me, he goes, yeah, you got to realize, just like they're talking about that other person to you, they're talking about you to the other person. And I was like, whoa. So basically, everyone's talking about me. So I said, wow, how do I avoid this? Like, I don't want people talking about me. What do I do? So he said to me, he goes, don't talk badly about other people. He said, do you see? He goes, you see me? He goes, I very much avoid talking bad about other people. And it's true. He's very good at that. And he goes, no one talks. I'm not worried about people talking. No one's talking bad about me. And if anything, they're talking, if they're talking about me, it's nice things. He goes, it should be the same thing. You should make sure that you're never saying something bad about other people. So it'll be good. So B'ez Hashem, by all of us, we should think positive about other people, and we shouldn't use this mimer to look at other people badly, but we should be for ourselves, to see ourselves and how we can improve in ourselves. Like it says in Hayom Yom, I think it was this past week, that Chavdal Tevis said it. It said also later this week, but it says that the point of Chassidus is to really recognize the bad for what it is and be able to work on it. So we should recognize where we're doing this and how we can take small steps, doable, bite-sized steps to make it better. Have an amazing day.